everybody, welcome back to the Bloom with Becca podcast. I'm your host Becca. Sorry, I always sing that, no one wants to hear it. Okay, in today's episode we're doing a little 25 birthday special edition. I'm actually gonna do this in two parts, but we're basically gonna be talking through 25 life lessons I have learned as a 25-year-old. I'm also gonna throw in a little story time, just a place to really embarrass myself. I'm gonna tell you about how my 21st birthday was the worst birthday ever because I auditioned for X Factor. Yep. And I'm also doing a little giveaway for the podcast. I'm giving away a pair of Apple AirPod Max headphones. So stay tuned for the end of the episode where I will tell you how to enter. Okay, let's get into the episode. Hello, my little darlings. How are we? I missed you. Yeah, I'm so excited to get into this little two-part series of life lessons. I absolutely love listening to episodes like this. I'm gonna watch this back one day, hopefully, and think I didn't know fucking anything. But I sat down before this episode and I actually got really reflective and thought about it. What are like the top life lessons I go by, I feel I've learned in my 20s or like in my teens, lessons that have actually shaped me and I feel are worth talking about. Since your girl is going to be 25 this week, I'm recording this when I'm 24, so I'm slightly cheating, please forgive me. I'm feeling really good about turning 25. I am that annoying person who's like, no, I don't want to get older, but I'm working on that because it's ridiculous. 25 is like a really good milestone age. I'm excited. I am excited to see what this quarter of a century year brings me. I don't know, maybe every decade is like this. However, I really feel like when you're 20 up to 25, you change a lot, right? Like surely that's such a period for growth. I feel like, I don't know, depends on circumstance, but like a 40 to 45-year-old, maybe you're not going to change as much. These early years are so defining, and it's when you make a lot of choices. I'm not saying like the choices now are bigger than when you're older, but they feel bigger because you're younger. You know what I mean? I threw myself a little wine and pizza night with a few friends in London last week, which just went like perfectly. And I honestly was so worried about it before. We were like getting ready. And to be fair, I had a couple deadlines. I like really didn't want to work that much last week. I was trying to take a week off because there was a friend staying with me all week and I wanted to be a good friend. However, work always manages to creep up a little bit. So I was like rushing to get this deadline finished. And then I was like, I need to get ready. And whilst I was getting ready, I was just feeling like really anxious. And I was like, am I even excited for this? Like I never throw myself these kind of things. I think I mentioned it in the last episode because I never like doing stuff for my birthday, like setting expectation. Feels almost selfish. I don't know if anyone else relates to that, like getting people together to celebrate you. And the night went so well. It was so nice. I kind of wish I invited more people. Yeah, I was kind of scared about it, like organizing an event. And you know what? I came away from it as well being like, I think I'm ready to start wedding planning, which sounds so stupid, but because all I did was plan a tiny little wine night in London as opposed to like a whole wedding. That's a different beast. But I was like, you know what? If the right people are there, they're all having a good time. I feel like alcohol helps a lot. People are going to have the best night of their lives. So that's what I want for my wedding. We went to Ami Wine Studio, by the way, in Belgravia. Is that the part of London? It was like near Chelsea, but such a beautiful wine bar if you're in London. If, I don't know, you're visiting London. It's just very like cutesy. It's got moody lighting, but it's kind of small, so it feels kind of intimate. And the wine, brill. Yeah, that's my recommendation for the week. So for my actual birthday, Will has planned a trip. All I know is that we're getting on a plane. I know it involves that, and I know it's a city break, but minus those details, I don't know anything, which is really exciting. I am someone who loves surprises. There's that tiny little part of me that's like, all I have to do is check his emails and I can find out like that. But then I'm like, why would I be a bitch and ruin the surprise? So no, I'm really excited to like, we're literally going to go to the airport and I'm going to find out like as it's happening. I also, this weekend, this is so bad, but I noticed this. It's now Monday when I'm recording this. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I didn't have a drop of alcohol. Birthday thing was on a Wednesday, which I know is obscure, but hey ho. Had quite a few glasses of wine, as you're gonna have on a birthday wine night. And so this weekend just didn't end up having a drink, and I know like we're gonna be drinking this coming weekend when we're away wherever we're going. I realized this is terrible. That was the first weekend this whole year, pretty sure, where I did not have a drip of alcohol. I'm pretty sure every single weekend this year I've had like a beer on a Friday or a glass of wine on a Saturday, at least one of the days. I am not at all like a big goer outer. That's a weird way to describe it. But I'm just not. Like, I really don't enjoy clubbing. I don't enjoy binge drinking either. Like, I'm kind of sensitive to it. However, I am someone who loves a drink at the weekend. I don't know, maybe I'll try a little resolution or something to like do that more often. Alcohol-free weekends. Also, what's new? Last little update before I get into my story time is I'm getting my extensions taken out tomorrow. So for those who have been following my skin journey, I am a 24-year-old who has randomly developed acne over the past like 3 months for what feels like no reason at all, which obviously isn't the case. There's always going to be a reason. And I'm thinking it might be because of my hair, because that just tied up with, well, like timing wise, it makes sense. And my skin is so much better now because it's been like 2 months since I last had an appointment. And also I started taking the Skin and Me treatment with like a formulation that is actually designed for acne. I've been having that, and oh my God, it has sorted out my skin texture. I'll smooth my hand over my face and it's no longer bumpy. I no longer like feel the spots, but I have been left with like acne scarring, which is not nice because it's like, whoa, well done, you've like got rid of the acne and the spots, but like it still kind of looks like I have acne when I don't have makeup on because the spots are so dark. So now I have to think about how to deal with that. Some people have said like microneedling. I'm not sure. I don't know. I like giving a little skin update. So many of you have been messaging me about it, saying like you're going through the same thing or you've been through it. So yeah, that's my skin update. Getting my hair out and then not dyeing it. I'm going to get a patch test as well. Going to see if it's like a specific dye that I've been reacting to. I've never had problems with dyes, not box dyes, professional dye, like never. And then last media recommendation of the week has to be The Crown. I know this show receives so much controversy, obviously, regarding what it's all about. However, yeah, I watched, is it season 6? I don't know, but it's the last season. It's set around the time that Princess Diana died. These episodes are about like her last few days and then, you know, like the world's reaction after it's happened and also the royal family's reaction. And whilst it's a drama based on true events, I know a lot of critics have jumped on it being like, well, that didn't happen. That paints that person in a bad light. Yeah, I thought it was really good, worth watching, like very well made, good music, great acting. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's my little recommendation for the week. Okay, before we jump into the life lessons, I kind of promised you guys a little story time, so we're gonna do it. I have a weird relationship with my birthday that I feel like I'm finally curing a bit, but there's no denying it. I know in my head this time of year I'm not in a bad mood, but I do get very reflective and maybe not in a healthy way. I don't know, there's just something about my birthday that kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I know it started from when I was 16, and obviously like, that's your sweet 16th. It's supposed to be this beautiful day, and all my birthdays before that were perfect little birthdays. Like, you're a kid, your parents get you that gift you wanted, and people at school are nice to you. My 16th, I was going through some stuff, like probably toughest stuff I've been through, testing stuff. You know, that was my first sort of experience dealing with real adult shit that doesn't go away when it's your birthday. And I think that taught me like a big life lesson, and I'm grateful for those lessons. But it did leave a little stain on my birthday and just like not loving that day. So yeah, that's a little sad. But anyway, my 21st birthday was a particularly bad one. It was like a few months before, and I was on a train, I think from Glasgow to Edinburgh, and I get a call from an unknown number, and I pick up, and it's this person who is saying they're calling on behalf of this big talent show in the UK that are looking for people who would potentially want to audition for this new season. I have had calls like that before in the past about like singing competitions, so I wasn't skeptical about it being a scam or anything. It actually felt quite legit, and it was legit. But anyway, I was like, yep, sure, I'm interested in hearing more. And so over the next few months, like, yeah, it turned out it was on audition for X Factor, the girl group year. I don't know if anyone remembers that. What year was it? 2020? No, 2019. Sorry, of course it wasn't 2020. Yeah, X Factor was trying this new thing where they find a new girl group and boy group. Over the next few months running up to this audition date, was like the back and forth organizing. They organize everything, by the way, from like your outfits to, you know, obviously like your song choices. They want to know all of that. Yeah, so quite a lot of prep beforehand. However, my experience was a little different because I was technically like scouted. I didn't apply, and I think that's an important detail. I had done like smaller singing competitions across the UK, so I feel like when your name is mixed in and you've done that kind of thing, like basically on their radar. It's also important to talk about this period of my life. I had just graduated from music school. I had just got a music degree, and my main focus was singing, like performance, and I had no idea what to do with myself. School is such a safety net, that especially something about like if you go do a creative degree or you go study something artsy, it's amazing for teaching you those skills and honing in your skills, all of that good stuff. But it does not, I don't feel like it's great at teaching you how to really make it as an artist. It's something that you just have to do in the real world. And so anyway, I was just struggling with it and mixed in with like your normal post-grad blues. It was a really hard time for me. And so getting this sort of exciting opportunity through was something I was absolutely going to jump on. I've always been a say yeser, even if an opportunity scares me, could go horribly wrong, which this one kind of did. I think there's always a lesson at the end of it. Yeah, when you're trying to make it as a performer, let's all be very honest. You are aiming for the big picture. You're aiming to be able to make a living from performing, which is really, really hard to do. Anyway, the date is finalized, and this audition day falls on my birthday, the 24th of November, my 21st birthday. We traveled down to London. It was over a weekend. Will came with me. Will's been my rock throughout my adult life. I feel like I could get emotional talking about it. Just like this, I don't know. We've like really grown up together. Like I said, these years, it just feels like so much happens in these years. I get emotional because I think back to me then, and I'm like, she was really unsure who she was and her role in the world. I don't know. I'm just proud of myself. I'm happy that I'm working it out. I haven't worked it out. Has anyone really worked it out? Doesn't matter. But like, I just know how I felt at the end of that experience, and I really felt crushed. So we get into London. I'm pretty sure it was the night before the audition. We actually went to the West End and we saw Waitress. Amazing musical, like one of my favorite musicals. However, funnily enough, the song I was singing for my audition, which was pre-approved, was She Used to Be Mine, which is a song. Is that what it's called? She Used to Be Mine, a song from the musical. So I got to hear it live and it got me so hyped. I was like, yes, I can do this. This opportunity could change my life, because that's how X Factor is portrayed on the TV, right? Like that it's the quick road to fame. And that's why it was all so intense that weekend. Like this could really turn your life around. You are going to be on the TV, and within a month, because this was like a really short thing, it was like, I can't even remember, but it was like a short season, so it was like 4 episodes or something. I swear there was only like 4 rounds, but it was like, yeah, by the end of the year you could be in this signed girl band. So yeah, we get there like nice and early, and it basically is a whole day of waiting that I know wasn't good for me. You get to see the behind the scenes of how everything's shot, which is really interesting. You know, those like special moments where someone gets a yes from the judges and they go back to their family and they hug, and it seems like this really authentic moment. We saw those moments being shot and they make them redo it like 4 times. But that's TV. It was just a really weird day. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I can't remember what time it was when it was my turn to see the producers. So how it works is like you do your quick audition for the producers and then you go to the judges. However, some people don't go and see the judges. The producers will kind of stop it there, and that was my experience. I don't mean to complain, because I know this is just TV and it's how it works, but it was like such an eye-opening day, and they really made you feel like a nobody. And also when you showed up, they totally knew who to keep an eye on. So like a couple of the girls that I know ended up in the final girl band who won the whole thing. Like from when we're outside in the queue waiting to go in the building, the crew knew to like interview her and get loads of shots of her before the girls even auditioned. So all this is like very much preempted. But anyway, I went through to pre-audition for the producers and I did my song. They made me sing my second song as well. And then they were like, you have a lovely voice, but you just sound too musical theatre. I have experienced rejection quite a few times in my life. Something about that day, it had never hit me so hard before. I remember I was proud of myself because I was stayed composed in that room. I said, thank you so much for your time. And then the lady like led me back to Will. And then it was when I had to tell Will. And I could see like the genuine shock from him that I didn't get through, that like this whole thing was done. There was no going forward. Like this whole thing was over. That feeling of like, I didn't do enough, I'm not good enough, was so heavy. And obviously it was my birthday and that's just a very, very sad coincidence. I can laugh about it now. I genuinely look back and I'm like, I don't know what good any of that would have done me. It felt like I had like traded my 21st birthday for that day, which like I know it doesn't work like that, but just being very honest, it was a very weird day. And it was a significant day in my life though, because I hate to admit it, but I would be lying if I said it didn't actually put me off the music industry a bit and singing, which I know sounds ridiculous because a show like that, how's that reflecting the music industry? It's not, but it did leave a sour taste in my mouth. And then the pandemic happened and I kind of just stopped singing. I think also why you can look back and laugh about a situation like that is because you know, though those moments in the moment feel so defining and feel so be all end all, you know they're not. It's like you really have to believe that things happen for a reason, even if they feel horrible in the moment, or like, why has this happened to me? Okay, let's talk about my 25 life lessons I have learned as a 25-year-old, almost 25. Definitely going to split this up into two because I feel like I've taken up a big chunk of this episode giving you guys my 21st birthday story time. Yeah, we'll see how many we get through. I wanted to make these as personal as possible, sort of like non-generic. I know some of these you will have heard of before, but I want to talk about why they really have made a mark on me. First one, these are in no particular order. Support your friends with their projects and their new endeavors and their new side hustles. It is such an important thing to do as a good friend. If your friend has a show, buy the ticket. Be there. Don't expect to get a ticket for free. Buy the ticket. Support them. If your friend releases merch or, I don't know, like writes a book, buy the book. Read the book. Support your friend. I've had quite a few things like this over the past few years. You know, friends are trying new things and they're dipping their toes in this and that. And one of the best things you can do as a good friend is support their endeavor. I've been on both sides of this, and it like, when a friend does that for you, it means so much more than you even think. I feel like for me, it really shows your true friends in the light of they actually want to see you succeed. They want to be there for you. They want to support you. And especially in these years of our 20s and we're all just working it out, and that's okay. Like having people around you who genuinely believe in you and are going to make your journey easier, that's a really valuable thing. Sharing your problems and vulnerabilities does not actually make you weak. It shouldn't come from a place of embarrassment. I feel like I've learned it actually comes from a place of strength. Being able to vulnerably and openly talk about what is going on with you, especially if we're talking in the circumstance of like one-on-one with a friend or with a partner, with a loved one, someone you trust. There's something so beautiful about being that other person receiving information, if you know what I mean. Like that person really trusts you to be the person that they go to in need. And then on a very sort of different scale, me coming on this podcast and talking about things that make me a bit vulnerable, and maybe I, like for example, that bloody story time, I'm kind of like, should I even talk about stuff like that? Maybe feels a little bit uncomfortable, and uncertainty surrounding like whether or not I should even speak about it. I can have a way easier time not. I could come on here and give you like motivational generic advice, but not make it personal, if you know what I mean. Not actually draw those points to personal life experiences. There's something so helpful as well about opening up and being reflective with someone, talking it out, that helps you kind of to understand and process your emotions on an even deeper level. I find it to be almost a kind of freeing feeling when you recognize there's a point where you need help and you feel comfortable enough to ask for help. That's like you have taken a step in the right direction. Or maybe you don't actually need a solution and you just need a very, very good, thorough vent or rant to someone you trust. A lot of the time, some people will actually relate more than you think. You might even be helping someone else. But I definitely, when I was younger, the kind of person who thought being more open about your problems was a bad thing. Like that made you weak. But by doing what I do, I've just learned there's a lot of good that actually comes from being openly vulnerable. Okay, point 3. I feel like I have said this point before, but it wouldn't feel right doing this podcast without mentioning this because it is one of my biggest life lessons. Actually, yeah, I've definitely spoken about this, but it's being really good at one thing and not being mediocre at a bunch of things, like juggling too much. Yeah, sometimes there's times and places and opportunities where even if it scares you, you say yes. You go ahead, you say yes to it and you work it out as you're on the job. But there's also times when you need to think like, is that actually going to benefit me? Like, what is the reward? I have always found it admirable when someone is really good at one thing. And I think we look at some of the most successful people on this planet, or artists, athletes who have honed in their craft, like they've really worked on it for most of their life, but they've gotten to a level of such skill. It's admirable. And that's something I've always really looked up to. I think I definitely got it from my dad, who is an amazing guitarist, like lives and breathes guitar. Music is his number one. He has taught me so much about what it means to be passionate about something. Like truly, I feel like we throw that word around a lot, and I feel lucky that I grew up in a home where I had a dad that I really saw what passion meant for what you do. It doesn't have to be like your job. You could have that circumstance be a hobby with anyone. But for me, my dad made a living out of his passion. Told me when I was younger, it's a thing I just like remember with anything I do, is that like he would have kids that, because he taught guitar for many years, and he'd have kids that only did guitar, and then he'd have kids that did guitar, did trombone, did the cello, did violin. And I apologize because I remember saying this out loud. I have definitely said this. I think I spoke about it in the podcast episode with me and Will, but again, I just want to reiterate it because it's such an important life lesson for me. He would say, obviously, the kids that focused on 1 or 2 instruments were far, far better musicians who went far further with grades or with concerts or joined a band. Like however you want to measure success in whatever capacity, they were more successful musicians, as opposed to the kids that would juggle way too many instruments and didn't actually get good at any of them. That's just one very tiny example, but I carry it with everything. And sometimes with what I do, I beat myself up because I'm like, oh, well, I should be doing really well on TikTok. Oh, I should have started a brand by now. But you know what I mean? Like so many content creators go and start their own brands, or they sell merch, or you get creators who are really big on all of the platforms and they've just done really well with it. And so like sometimes that really does get me down. But I remember like what makes me me and special is that I am a YouTuber. Funnily enough, here I am trying to do the podcast thing, but I mean the podcast thing is like still long form, and long form for whatever reason is my baby. And I think I've gotten to where I am because of really putting like all my energy into being the best YouTuber that I could be. I found what I truly loved doing and was passionate about, and that's making long form videos on YouTube. And I worked hard on it and I got better at it each week. And now I've made a full-time job out of it. So that's a huge lesson I carry with me every single day. Even when I did social media for a company, my thing was video editing, my specialty, something I had worked at, that I could really bring that to the table. And I really would feel like rewarded for that. Okay, point number 4. This is a bit more lighthearted and it's more of a productivity tip, I guess. But I was thinking about it. I was like, what lessons have I learned that have like genuinely changed my life or made a huge mark? And this is so dumb, but writing everything down. What I mean by that, this is not all that exciting or sexy. It's not a glamorous point, but genuinely what's helped me be a way more productive person and get stuff done and be less stressed about it is, yes, there's a million one ways to like manage your time and your productivity and how to project manage and all of this. However, the biggest habit that I have developed is as soon as someone tells me I need to do something, there's a meeting, there's something due on this day, or an idea pops into my head, jot it down. We have phones that have notes. We have apps like Notion, which are 2 clicks away, or even now, like we have widgets on our phones. I know with like the iPhone, you can have a widget that has your not urgent, mine's my urgent to-do list, but you can have like a to-do list on your lock screen. So you see it as soon as you open your phone. I think just that's been a huge game changer for me with productivity and made my life so much easier. Even tiny little small tasks, but the ones that I will forget. So if I pop it down on my to-do list that I know I check every single day, the longer it sits on there, the more it's going to annoy me and the more likely I'm going to just go do it. And then getting in the habit of like, point number 5. So we talk about like being the same person, the good old same person, good old Becca, as a positive thing. And obviously like what we mean by that is, they're still the same good old person at heart. That's what we mean. But there is also implication that like we shouldn't change. When we say to people, oh, please don't change. You're perfect as you are. Don't change. A lesson for me has been that change is a good thing. Like, despite what we've been taught all our lives, evolving is what you want to be doing. I feel like sometimes when I go home or you're hanging out with people that you've known for years, things are still the same, but the thing that's different is you. It actually turns out that you have changed. We're kind of taught that's a bad thing, and I really don't think it is. Internal changes that, might not immediately be obvious to other people or even to yourself, and that's maybe what catches you. Change happens over time, but I have learned to embrace the fact that I am constantly evolving. And with that, I feel like this kind of ties in point 6. I don't want to be surrounded by people who are not self-aware. I'm no longer 18. That's what I'm saying. That sounds really harsh. I completely got this from a reel I saw the other day. I think that's how she started it. She was like, I'm so done with surrounding myself with people who are not self-aware, who get themselves into bad situations, who lack accountability. Not at all saying that I have it all worked out. We all mess up. Life is about being a little bit messy, but I feel like, I'm sure you can relate to me, there are people in your lives who you look at, it feels like they almost put themselves into those positions. And I know some people in life have it way harder than others, but it's like the attitude you carry with it. People who play the victim bothers me nowadays, especially when I see it in people I love and people I care about, and I believe they deserve better, but I also believe that they're not helping themselves. And there's only so much you can do as a friend. They constantly complain, and that is tiring to be around. The kind of people that, I guess they don't fill up your cup. You come away and you feel exhausted after being with them, and it's because they just unload all these problems. And from where you're sitting, maybe, I know I've been this person, like the solutions are just easy, but you don't want to be there just like throwing solutions at them. Sometimes it's the right choice to just like sit in the mud with them. Who is it that says that? Simon Sinek, I think. I love that quote he says about like, not everyone wants you to fix their problems. Some people, I know for sure I'm this person, if I go to Will with a problem, I'm like, I just want you to sit in the mud with me, just like hear me out. I don't want to hear solutions, because like I know in my heart probably like what I should be doing. And then sometimes if I do want help, I'll say, I need help. Like, what would you do? It's important to know where you can help as a friend, where you sit as a friend. And then, okay, this is going to be my last point for this episode. Point 7. I'll list all the rest in next week's episode. But basically that this isn't high school, and not everyone you meet in your adult life is going to be your best friend. I feel like in school, that's kind of how it feels like, because you spent all day with these people and you have like your close friends, and whoever comes into your life, they're probably going to be like your best friend, and adulthood just isn't like that. And what I mean by that is also like, not everyone has to measure up to be a best friend. You can have friends that are just, you might see them once a month, you have a drink and you have a nice chat, but they're never going to be a best friend. A huge part of this is no longer being a people pleaser. For me personally, I really pride myself in that I lost that side of me. I really used to be a huge people pleaser when I was younger, and I would just want everyone to like me. And that's not going to be one of my points, because that's so obvious that like, no, you know, you can't please everyone in this world. No matter how lovely and wonderful you are, someone's not going to like you. In respects to meeting new people now as an adult, it would be like the automatic thing for me that I want them to like me. But sometimes you have to step back and be like, do I actually like them? Like, why am I molding myself for them to like me as a person when I might not even want to be friends with them? I might not even want to be that close to them. And with that, like, being really mindful of who you spend your energy on. I know we all have those friends, or I hope you do. You have a friend who it almost feels like a soulmate, right? Like, you just click, and you know you can tell them anything. You know when life throws like a spanner in the works, you can go to them. You can go to them with your problems. They're always going to be there for you. And there isn't that judgment, but they're also the kind of friend that can tell you when they think you're maybe in the wrong, like a true friend. And also the kind of person that fills your cup. You go see them and you feel energized and you feel good about yourself. You're excited to hear what's happening with their life, and you're excited to tell them about what's happening with you. I've really recognized that in my adulthood, like which people in my life are those people. And not all friends are, and that's okay. It really is okay. You have friends for different things. We're also at the age where like we're gonna be a little bit more selfish. In your 20s, you're gonna be a little bit more selfish, and I feel like that is actually the way it should be. That was quite a deep episode. And I'll be carrying on my next points because I have 25 points. So next week's episode, I still have a lot to talk about. Oh, I feel like I should have asked on Instagram, like, what's one of your biggest life lessons? Tell you what, I'm going to do that now, and then I'll read what you guys say in next week's episode. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I feel like we've gotten a little bit closer after that episode. But yes, as promised, because this is episode 10, I'm doing a little giveaway. So I thought it'd be fun, since obviously this is a podcast. I found it kind of fitting if I gave away a pair of headphones, and I personally own the Apple AirPod Max headphones that I love. They're on the pricey side. They're a nice treat, and that's why I wanted to give away a pair to one of you guys. So all you have to do to enter the giveaway is make sure you're following the Bloom with Becca Instagram page and subscribe on YouTube, and then also my personal. So make sure you're following my Instagram account and also subscribe to my YouTube. I assume you already do that, so well done, you're already in the running. But so that I can pick a winner, it would be fab if you could comment on my giveaway post. I'm going to put up a post that's joint with my personal account and the Bloom with Becca Instagram account. They're always linked in the bio of this, no matter where you're listening to this. So if you go there, go comment, say hey, and then you're automatically entered in. I'm gonna announce the winner on the 3rd of December, so that's like just under 2 weeks. I'm looking at my calendar now. Yeah, just under 2 weeks to enter. I knew I wanted to do this because of just like the amount of support that you guys have given me with this podcast, allowing me the space to come on here every single week and just ramble into your ear. Means a lot to me. Giveaway details will be below. Just make sure you're following the platforms, and that's all. I am gonna shoot off. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode, and if you wouldn't mind giving this a 5-star review on Apple, on Spotify, that would mean the world to me. I will see you guys next week for part 2 of this episode. Hope you all have a fabulous rest of your week whenever you're listening to this, and sending all my love. Thank you, my loves, for listening to this week's episode of Bloom with Becca. Be sure to follow the Bloom with Becca Instagram page to get involved each week with your questions, your stories, your thoughts on different topics, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next week for a new episode. Love you. Bye.